Good morning, good Wednesday morning, everybody. Beautiful weather outside, and we're starting our live with David Gazarian from the IQ Mortgage. Today, we're super excited to have David join us and talk about the about his calculator, how you can save on owning the house versus renting the house. And David is going to join us in a second. And right now, I would like to talk to you about the market, Las Vegas market. Las Vegas market is still pretty intense. We are seeing a very low inventory. More and more buyers are coming into the market every single day. With the rates lowering down, and there's there's a new thing that we have, that the new law that came into effect on March 1st, that is allowing the borrowers with the lower credit to can actually benefit from owning their own place. And David would then trying different systems to be able to share the screen with us. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Alexandra. I'm actually not ready this morning. Technologically, since I'm a challenged person, I'm not sure if I'm doing things right to be able to broadcast my screen and show you what I was doing. So I'll probably need another.
That's okay.
I'll be ready for our next session. I need some testing.
Even though there are a lot of changes that we have going on the market, I'm pretty sure that by Wednesday next week, it's still going to be beneficial to own the house versus to rent it.
I actually
will still be relevant.
I actually have even better news. I mean, I'll talk about the wealth accumulator. We'll probably do a series on this, and we'll talk to people because this is so important as far as rent versus own. I want to talk to people. I want to start educating them out on a deeper level because we built tools that will show the benefits of home ownership, and people can make decisions based on math, not just on emotions, right? Having said that, we have a much bigger news that I've been expecting for such a long time. Today, it's the CPI index. Yay!
Hey.
Yes, it's a CPI index. So it is 5%, guys.
Okay. Can you explain to us
Yes.
why it is important and what is the correlation between the CPI index and the mortgage rates?
So So CPI index is what's called a consumer price index. It is when the government Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks all of the tangible goods that are sold and services, and it's an index of like 100 and something different indexes. And when I say it's 5, it's technically AKA the inflation index. It peaked at 9.1% last year, and it was really, really horrible. The government had to increase the prime rate, the interest rate. So what is the correlation between the CPI index and the mortgages? Well, in the last 2 years and during 2020-21, we had artificially low interest rates. With these interest rates being so low, what happened is the inflation went up. Every time the government lowers inflation, rates go up. When rates go up, the other side of that stick is high inflation. So because of the 2020-21 pandemic rescue package that we had, rates were low, and that triggered inflation, and now we have to deal with inflation because that's very, very dangerous for our economy. So the way you stop inflation, you slow inflation as you increase interest rates. Well, no, so many people have talked about this. So the government has been increasing interest rates to slow the inflation. It was at 9.1% last year. It started dropping. It was at 6% last month. The February index was 6%. This is April 12th. We just got the March numbers and it's at 5. We haven't had a 1% drop from 6 to 5 literally in 1 month. This is huge. So I was predicting, I told you that the Fed was going to increase rates for April and May by 0.25%. Quite possibly, he may not, or he may only increase once, maybe in April, and stop and see what happens. But it looks like we're headed in the right direction. The inflation is dropping, which is very, very good news, because this is going to give confidence to our buyers, and we'll have more buyers come into market.
So the main idea is that you are actually expecting the interest rates to follow the inflation and to actually drop. So
not yet. That would be overly optimistic of me. So as he increases interest rates, inflation starts dropping, and inflation drops really slow. His target is between 2 and 3%. That would be ideal. I mean, right before COVID, in January of 2020, we had 2% inflation. So that's where we need.
And that was our normal inflation. That was not something that was government.
Inflation is wonderful. Yeah, I think December of 2019, we had 1.9% inflation. That is wonderful. That's such an awesome number to be at. That's a perfectionist number that they're trying to hit. So
that is healthy economy. That's what
very healthy economy. Very healthy economy. So I think we're headed there quite much faster than I expected. He's not going to drop rates this soon. We shouldn't tell our clients, our viewers, or we shouldn't even hope that he's going to drop rates so quickly. My goal is to see him stop increasing rates. He's still on that schedule of increasing rates. I think if he raises another quarter in April, he may, this is my guess, he may stop, Jerome Powell. And if he stops, he's going to sort of plateau and see what happens to the inflation. If inflation continues to drop, there's no reason for him to increase rates. If inflation stay the same, he's going to continue increasing rates. But I think the inflation is moving in the right direction. He should stop increasing rates, which is, it's the positive news that people have been waiting for. If you have rates dropping or him announcing that he's not going to increase rates, then all of those millions of people that are hoping that the prices are going to crash, housing market's going to crash, that'll go away. We know it's not going to crash, but at least that will go away and people will more confidently enter the purchase market.
And this is, this is one of the questions, I want to hear you talk about it. We keep on saying, guys, the market is not going to crash. During the recession, during the last 6 recessions that we only had 2 price drops, and it was 1991 when the overall national, country-wise, we had the price drop of 1.9%, and then we had the 2008, where the country-wise, the average drop was 20%, close to 20%. So first of all, the recession does not equal the housing crisis, and usually, if we take the data of the last 6 recessions, you guys are going to see that out of 6, 4 times during the recession, the housing prices went up, and
correct.
Only 2 times they went down. And of course, 2008 is very fresh in memories of everybody who is right now in the position and in the income position, in the age position, in the position of their life to buy the house.
That's correct.
So, guys, I understand that everybody remembers 2008, but David, can you briefly tell us, because I know you've been in the mortgage business and you've been in 2008, so why it is not going to be the same as in 2008, or start with why did we crash?
Okay. Let's explain why we crashed in 2008, okay? Because for a very, very simple reason, we had toxic mortgages. Buying a house was so easy, and I need to explain what's called the term vicious cycle. Vicious cycle was we had Nina loans. Nina was no income, no asset. NINA, Nina loans or Ninja loans, whatever they used to call them, right? So you, as long as you had a pulse, you were alive, you had a social, okay, you had a decent, very average credit score, you could get a house with zero down, okay?
So may I ask you, I'm going to ask you the questions as you go. So the debt to income ratio was not in place.
No, we had no doc loans, I guess. So debt to DTI did not matter. Again, we have similar loans now, but they're way stricter. I mean, the loans that we have right now are not creating the toxic situation we had in the past, but the bank looked at the future rent of the property, and the rent would cover this home. So you could buy an investment home with 5% down. I remember these loans because I started doing loans in 2005, and we did a bunch of them. So, but that's not even that. Imagine your average blue collar, say, taxi driver, because I'm thinking of a couple people now that I'm going back in my memory. Your average taxi driver had 7, 8, 10 houses. I knew them. Why? The reason they bought houses was because homes were appreciating very quickly. So the more homes you had, your assets were appreciating, the better for you. Okay, then how do you buy homes? Well, if you have a home, it's appreciating in value, you can take some money out, put a down payment towards the other one, 5% down, or I think that we had 0% down loans, buy another one. Now you've got 2 homes that are appreciating. You're going to take more money in 3-4 months and buy the 3rd home. What happens is, the more homes you buy, the less homes there are on the market. The less homes there are on the market, the more homes appreciate. So having
the price is
financing was so easy. Buying more homes was so easy. Everyone bought so many homes. This reduced the number of homes on the market. This triggered the price increase, and this again fed they would take out more money, buy more homes. So this is what's referred to as the vicious cycle. So there was a company. Go ahead, yeah.
May I add something to what you're saying? So first of all, for those of you who were shopping in Las Vegas in 2007, there's one thing that you're going to probably remember till the rest of your life, is that in 2007, if you wanted to shop, you would get a call from your realtor, and the realtor would tell you, I have one house, this is what the parameters are you taking it or not?
Yeah.
And that was your shopping in 2007. This is how it was. And it was like, you don't get to choose, like you don't get to choose much. Like, I'm not talking about any finishes. It was, I have a house, either you're saying yes to it right now, or I'm moving on to the next person on my list who is going to buy it. Yes. There was nothing to negotiate about. There was nothing to pick from. This is how it was. And another thing that David just mentioned, but I wanted to reiterate, the equity position in those homes. So the majority of the country did not have the equity position in their homes because they didn't even have to. And those people who were taking the money out when the house is appreciated as crazy, they eliminated their equity. And then the toxic mortgages that David is talking about, there was such a thing as an 80-20 loans. And the majority of the market was built on those 80-20 loans. When you were getting your 80% of the purchase price or the property value, you were getting it from one lender, and then the other lender was giving you the missing 20%. So you could literally come in with $0 into owning the house, and that is not okay. This is not right, because if you don't have the financial ability to own the house, owning the house is not cheap. There's a lot of expenses that are connected and they're associated with owning the house. And David, have you had the loan? And I'm not talking about VA loans, guys. VA loans, even VA loans actually bring the money to the table. Like even VA borrowers are charged. they're charged on a different scale. They can roll it into the loan, but yes, even VA borrowers who can come in with the 0% down payment, they're charged. There are fees that are associated with their loans. And so the point that I'm making here is that right now, we don't really have a zero mortgage, like zero money down loans, correct, David? Like, you have to come in with equity, and the government is protecting you because every single loan that we're dealing with says that this is the minimum amount that you have to bring it to escrow. You cannot take it as a gift. You cannot, you cannot win it in a lottery. Like, you have to have it. You have to have it, and you have to have the income to support your future payment.
So there are, for first-time home buyers, some assistance that the government does. It's not a, how do I say this? It's not a cheap assistance. You end up paying it back, repaying it back. But there is, if it's your first home you're going to live in, they will help you with the down payment assistance. They will definitely not help you to buy an investment
property. If you qualify.
Yeah, if you qualify, you still have to qualify. You still have to go through a whole bunch of loops. We don't have if you're not putting any money down, then remember, going back to the CIA, credit income assets, if your assets is zero, then you better have pretty strong credit and income, which are documented fully. So they're going to document your income. So from their perspective, you have to live somewhere. So if they put you in a house, you're going to make the payment, and we have very, very low foreclosure rate in Las Vegas, which means we have very healthy housing market. People are not foreclosing, they're not losing their homes, they're making payments. So to answer your question, I do not see a housing crash, Alexandra. I do not see that. And the reason I don't see that is for one simple reason. For what's a crash? Okay, I should probably open a dictionary and define it, but the way I understand crash, it means, okay, technically, much, much more homes on the market than there are buyers. So with inventory gets increased for whatever reason, then you have what's called a crash. The prices drop, okay? We have a shortage of inventory right now.
Absolutely. We are in a short inventory throughout the country.
Would you agree that in the last decade, and from like after 2012, I would say, we had between 8,000 to 10,000 homes for our daily inventory in Las Vegas? We're down to what, 5 now?
Our normal market is 6 months of inventory.
Okay.
6 months of inventory. Las Vegas, like Las Vegas numbers, Las Vegas comfortable inventory is between 12 to 14,000 homes. We're in like other states, we don't have a seasonality of our market. Our season is 12 months a year. So we're in season 12 months out of the year. So our comfortable spot, our healthy, comfortable spot is 12 to 14,000 properties.
I remember when we had 12 to 14,000 homes. I think right now we're between 5 and 6, you tell me, which means currently, and this is still a buyer's market, and not all the buyers are buying.
I always tell people, it is there is no such a thing as the seller's market. You know why? Because the buyers are the ones who are actually making the transaction happen. So it is either healthy buyer's market or it is the buyer's frenzy. We don't really have the seller's market. During the pandemic, it was still the buyer's market, but it was buyer's frenzy, because buyers, it is the buyer's behavior that defined the artificial price growth and the overbidding on the existing homes and the existing inventory during the pandemic.
So the bottom line is, for a crash to happen, there would be a huge number of homes hit the market. That's not happening anytime soon. I just don't see that happening. So if that's not going to happen, then we're not going to have a crash. I just don't see a crash happening.
I can tell you one more reason why it's not happening. is because more than 50% of the homeowners in this country, they're sitting on an equity that is larger than 40%.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I heard.
and if you look at the numbers of 2008, we had less than 20% of the market, like of the homeowners in the country that had equity. So, and from my personal experience, who's been working with the sellers and sitting down at the table with the sellers, like negotiating and understanding their personal situations. This is what happens, guys, and this is something that probably nobody takes into the consideration when they're thinking about the crash. So when I sit down with my seller and I discuss with them the market, and we go onto the market, and my sellers have pretty good equity in their home, and we come at the market price for the property. First of all, what happens today is that we're getting in a more normal market. So people think that if the property is not sold in a week or in 2 days, oh, it's been on the market for too long. Guys, this is one more misconception. The normal time on the market for the house that is priced under $500,000 here in Las Vegas, the average time on the market has always been 60 days. So stop looking at the days on the market where it says the house has been on the market for 30 days and nobody bought it. It's fine. It's fine. We're just in a normal market. We're not in a slow market. We're not in a crazy market. We're in a normal market. It takes a normal amount of time, like 60 days is a normal amount of time to be on the market for the buyers to actually take a look at the house and make their offer. That's number one. Number two, when you have a seller with the comfortable position of equity on their home, first of all, their mortgage payment is very low because they refinanced their house during the pandemic. So their interest rate is somewhere around 3% or it might be below. So it doesn't cost them that much to keep the house. The number three factor is the factor that they have so much equity, and when it's not a forced sale, and forced sale, I mean your life circumstances, when you have to move, when you have some significant event in your family, like you have a death, or you have a baby coming, or you have like you're getting married. So if it's not a significant life-changing event in your family, then you're not forced to sell. You're not forced to sell. So, and you're not forced to drop the price. So every time, let's say I'm with my seller, we're on the market for 60 to 90 days, we sit down every so often and we analyze the situation. And I propose to my seller, do you want to rent the house out? If you don't want to drop the price, or if you don't want to negotiate or help the buyer with the closing costs, you still have the option to rent the house out. And guess what? Many of people do, because they are not going to, they're not willing to lose the equity. They're not willing to give their house away, as that's how they feel.
He's a good
friend.
He's a good friend.
Yeah, this is so pretty. Such a nice compliment. Yes, the episode with the legend. So guys, that's why people are not going to flush their properties and throw the huge amount of properties on the market, because they are in the position of comfort on their equity. And this is something that you guys need to understand. I understand when you are buying a home, you're not looking at it, but believe me, guys, those people who own those homes, this is their position. Their position is not urgent. Their position is position of comfort, where their mortgage payment is covered by the rent.
I saw something recently. This is a terminology that I just learned of a couple of days ago, in the last week. It's called lock-in effect. And lock-in effect means that sellers are comfortable. They don't have to sell. They're very comfortable owning the property because they're not, quite frankly, happy with the prices that buyers are offering. And buyers, quite frankly, are happy with the current home that they have with their interest rates. So they want to hold on to that as long as possible. So now in the real estate market, we have this lock-in effect where sellers are okay with their current mortgage. They don't want to lose it because if they sell, they're going to have to get a mortgage at a higher interest rate. The buyers are okay if they are currently homeowners with their current interest rates. So most people that have loans that they refinanced in the last couple of years, they're locked in. So there's this artificial lock that's put on people, and this is what's happening in Las Vegas. People are locked into their interest rates, and this is where we are. People are not very happy about losing those rates that they have. That's normal.
Absolutely.
It's understandable.
Absolutely. And I 100% side with the people who own the houses and have the low interest rates. I'm one of these people, I'm one of those. I have very low interest rate on my home, and
What's your
I don't
rate?
Want to sell it.
What's your rate?
2.75.
2.375. I beat you. So why would we ever get rid of these mortgages? Ever.
How many years do you have left?
Oh.
Are you on 30 years?
Yeah, 28 left. Who cares?
Okay.
I could have 280 left.
I have 14.
Do I need to do a class on that as well?
Or 13. Yeah, I have 14 or 13 years left, and that's the thing that I even in my mind, I cannot afford to sell my house because I will not get that interest rate back.
So first of all, what's happening with you is you have 14, you think of a 30-year fixed mortgage. We'll probably do another session on this once we figure out our screen share. We have so much to share, so much, these lives can turn into semi-classes. So one of the things is when you start off brand new mortgage, 30 years, your payments can be fixed, but most of your payment, 98% of your monthly payment is going to get allocated to interest rates. If you're 14 years in, Alexandra, which this means that I would say almost 45% of your monthly payment pays off principal, right? So yes. The first 14 years, 15 years is where you pay interest for majority, and the other 15 years, most of your payments go towards principal. You're there. You've paid your dues to the bank. If you were to refinance again, it'll start over. So you should just continue the course, and because now you're saving like crazy every month. Most of you're living rent free. Whatever your mortgage payment, what's your mortgage payment?
$2,200.
$2,200. Oh my God, it's free. Yeah. Okay, so 14 years. So let's say 15 years. You're right there, which means $1,100 of your payment goes towards principal. Right. So you really are paying $1,100 of interest really only. This is free. You're living in a house, but out of your $2,200, $1,100 is going back into your wealth, your pocket, your equity. This is such a sweet position to be in.
Okay. If we're picking me apart, then I will explain my position fully, how I looked at it. Yeah, if I were to go and rent exactly the same house in my neighborhood, it's going to cost me $3,600.
Jesus Christ! Now, what's it costing you? $1,100?
Yes, and I am, and I'm paying $2,200. So there is an $1,100 gap. Now, if I wake up tomorrow and I see Zestimate, the thing that everybody hates, all the investors and realtors, this bad word. But if I wake up tomorrow and the Zestimate on my house is $200,000 lower, guess what? My payment is still $2,200 a month.
Who cares? It's
yeah,
lower,
and the rent is not going to be lower. So I'm not going to go crazy and sell my house because I still need a place to live in. So now, David, with today's interest rates, like what should, if for the payment of $2,200, what is the loan amount that I can afford? Let's say my taxes, let's say the taxes are $1,800 a year.
One quick second.
So
I'll open the software.
Yeah,
While I'm opening this, I want to share a thought with you that I had over the weekend. I was writing some text for a YouTube video. I've been doing taxes since 2008. And I stopped in 2016. I did about 6,000 taxes, and I've seen so many families, their financials, right, and all different sources, aspects of income, going from self-employed to, God knows, a professional gambler. I've seen the most interesting types of income. Here's one thing I've never seen. I have never seen a person that made their millions from the stock market. I haven't. Not it. I know they're out there. They probably exist somewhere. I haven't seen them. In my little experience of 6,000 tax returns that I did between 2008 and 16. I did, however, see many millionaires that were created between that period that owned a bunch of homes and that used the rules, the laws of real estate investment that they probably didn't even know they were using those rules that you and I will start teaching soon. So my goal has increasingly become to share those rules with people, so when they make real estate decisions, they actually will know what kind of effect it's going to have on people's lives.
absolutely. And I think it is extremely important to know how to maximize your position of equity and maximize your benefits from owning real estate when you know how to file your taxes properly, when you know how to treat the depreciation, when you know which things you can write off. Because guys, even like for those of you who are the owners of their own businesses or they have home offices, like you can write the portion of your utility bills because you have a home office. If you're entitled to the home office, even the portion of your utility bills can be written off. If you have solar panels that you are making payments for, you're going to have the interest rate written off. You're going to have actually the
energy credits of 30%. Yes.
Yes, the credits. So guys, there's so many ways. I mean, like even the improvement to your house, like there's a way how you can benefit from improving on your house. There is a way how you can benefit from fixing things in your home if you're working, like once again, if you have your home office. And let alone you have the interest rates on the loans that you have like to write off. You are entitled to $250,000 of tax-free price increase of your home when you sell it. If you're a single person, when you're a married couple, you get $500,000 of per the price gain tax-free after 2 years and 1 day. And yes,
I'm ready.
You got the numbers?
Yeah. So for you to have a $2,200 mortgage payment, you would have to have a loan of $300,000, $310,000, and this includes property taxes, insurance, HOA, and about $120 in mortgage insurance. This means you could probably get a $350,000-$60,000 house, put 5% down, or actually no, $330,000 house, put 5% down, have a $2,200 mortgage payment, which is nothing.
So this is less than my house was worth when I bought it. And right now it means that my house has to drop the price by 2.5 times, so that I would actually start to lose money. And that is like to lose money, or it would make sense for me to change my current mortgage payment for a different mortgage payment. So believe me, what I can afford as $350,000 can never substitute the house that I have that I'm in right now. So that is definitely not an option. And I'm one of those potential sellers who are, who's not going to freak out, even if I lose $200,000 in equity, and once again, when I'm saying if I can potentially lose it, if I lose it on paper or if I lose it on the screen of my computer, and this is exactly what happens, guys. Think about your house price as when you're watching the stock market and you see this line going up and down. But it doesn't really matter when you live in the house because your payment is fixed. When your equity truly matters is in these cases. When you buy the house, your equity matters. The price of the house matters. When you sell the house, it matters where your price point is. And when you refinance the house. When you own the house and that price point fluctuates with the market a little bit, it is not a big deal because it fluctuates on the screen of your computer, but it doesn't fluctuate in your pocket or with your mortgage payment. Once your mortgage payment is fixed, that is the key to your comfort. This is the key to your wealth creation because you're in a safe harbor, as we say, because your mortgage is not going to change. Price of the house is going to go up, rent is going to go up, things are going to change, but your mortgage payment is fixed. And that's the that's the key. When the inflation goes up, prices go up. The higher inflation is, the cheaper the money is going to be. And when we have an inflation at 5% and my interest rate is at 2.75, it means that every dollar that I put in as my mortgage payment every month, it depreciates by 5%, but I am getting 2.75 back because I'm going to write off this interest at the end of the year. So that's that's my way of not doing anything and gaining equity. I've been talking too much.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So next week, you and I will prepare to share our screen better. And I'm really excited to talk to first-time home buyers on wealth creation. Very, very much. Buying a house is not right for everyone. I should say this. This is not a pill for everyone. Does not cure every cancer. But I think, in my opinion, that most people that decide to rent are not really truly diving down, analyzing the numbers the way that they need to. I think even a lot of professionals, loan officers and realtors don't really analyze the numbers, that dissect the numbers really truly. So what I mean by this is, if your rent is $400, for example, cheaper than your mortgage, it doesn't mean, intuitively you're like, okay, I'll be saving money for the rest of my life. Well, that's not true. That is simply not true. No one has bothered to really calculate and see if that's true. If you're saving 400, that doesn't mean 400 times 12 times the rest of your life. That is not true. I've read books. I could tell you which one. Peter Thiel. He's a billionaire, okay? And he says you shouldn't buy a house. Like, he didn't buy a house for the longest time. He thought by renting he was saving money and he was investing it somewhere. That's lazy, because once you see my calculator, okay, once you see how numbers work, and obviously the input really depends on the person. We're not gonna, when I talk to a client in my conference room, I don't tell them how much this house is going to appreciate next year or the year after, okay? Especially now that we're not in a year that's going to have appreciation. Very moderate maybe in all over the country. But if you tell me what you think your appreciation will be, then we can probably model out your net worth for the next 30 years and have a deeper conversation, more responsible conversation with our clients.
Absolutely, and I agree 100% with you. owning the house is not a magic pill for everybody. This is not the purpose of our presence over here. The purpose of our presence over here is to actually sit down with every single of our clients, as we do right now, talk about their life goals, talk about their life plans. And guys, like David, you've been in the business for how many years?
I became a mortgage officer in 2005. I stopped in 2008, came back in 2016.
Okay. Here. So before you said you stopped, it was 18 years. Now it's it's 10 years. So 10 years in business.
10
10
years
years
as a
in
licensed loan officer, but between 2008 and 16, I was doing taxes. I stopped doing taxes in 16, and this is my, 10 years exactly that I've been doing mortgages.
Excellent. So 10 years in mortgage, I've been 12 years in real estate, and our goal here, and will always be, is to sit down with our clients and plan with them long term. Help you guys plan the long term. And if you're telling me that you're in town for a year, I don't think that I can honestly recommend that you buy anything. I would tell you to rent. You know, if
Probably.
if you're in town for a couple of years, like that, you can gain that equity and get it tax-free. That could be positioned. Once again, we need to sit down and look at your numbers. So our goal is not to tell everybody, oh, you should buy the house right now. This is the point. It is the opportunistic time. There's always an opportunity, like in every single market. Even when people tell me that, oh, in 2008, so many people lost homes. Guess what? None of those homes got left on the market. When half of the country lost their homes, the other half actually came over and bought them. So there is an opportunity in every market, and if you don't see your opportunity, this is where David and I come in and we sit down with you and we show the opportunities, and they might work and they might not work for you. And of course, if you have some kind of business that gives you like 20-30% return on investment, maybe you don't need a home right now. Maybe you need to, store some cash if you have those returns. I just don't think that there is such a thing, but who knows? I don't know it all. And so if you have higher returns, absolutely, you don't need a house. We all know that, right now, getting 4 or 5% return is great. But that's called a secured asset. It's the secure long-term investment. Anyways, David and I will be happy to talk to you guys. If you have any questions, you can always DM us. If it's a personal question or it involves your private information, please call us directly or message us directly. Do not comment on the under the video so that everybody could see it. Just go directly to us. We're happy to talk to you, to connect with you, and help you with anything we can.
Absolutely. We're here. Happy to meet any first-time home buyers.
And investors as well. There's still a lot of investing going on.
Yes.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you for your time and your input, and we're looking forward for the next week, and you and I will do our best to figure out how to share screens and still have our Instagram lives. Sorry, guys, if we didn't have the business we had, like if we were less busy, we would figure it out a long time ago. But we've been blessed, and thanks to all of our clients, and we see you next week.
Thanks, Alexandra.
Thank you. Bye.